Hey guys, welcome back. It's me, Sal Mahajan, and in today's video, we will be taking a look into Amazon EC2. This is going to be an overview related to Amazon EC2. So let's dive right into the video. So what does Amazon EC2 stand for? It stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. This is one of the fundamental services provided by AWS, and it is mandatory that everyone knows how EC2 works, what EC2 is, what are the ins and outs of EC2, everything, A to Z. It is very crucial to be successful in AWS. So you can think of EC2 as a virtual machine in the cloud, or you can think of it as a virtual laptop in the cloud or a virtual desktop in the cloud. So this is the bare bones wherein in plain English or plain terms, you get a virtual machine in the cloud that you can use. It can be a Linux-based computer, it can be a Windows-based computer, it can be any other operating-based, Ubuntu, and all these operating systems. But you can think in simple terms, you can just think a computer in the cloud that you can access over the internet. And a couple of good things about this computer that you have in the cloud is that it is resizable. So you can resize the compute capacity in the cloud. So let's take, for example, you have a physical laptop. Now your laptop only has 8 GB of memory, but you want to go to 16 GB of memory, right? Because you may need more memory. You can't immediately go ahead and easily upgrade to 16 GB. You got to go to the store. You got to get a new 16 GB stick. Then you got to open your laptop up, install it, and then you're good to go. So it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and of course a lot of money too. But in the cloud, it's pretty straightforward. You just go and say, hey, AWS, I need a 16 GB, 8 GB is too less for me. I need 16 GB. And within a couple of seconds, you have a 16 GB computer up and ready for you. And the same happens with CPUs. You need more compute power, so more CPUs. You can easily resize your instance. So you can go up and you can also come back down. So you have the ability to quickly scale up and scale down your resources according to your requirement chain. So for example, you are deploying a web server on your EC2 instance. Now at a certain point in time during the holiday season, a lot of users are coming onto your web server. You need more compute power. You can be like, hey AWS, can you please scale up my resources, my compute power, because I need more compute power to handle the load. And when the holiday season is gone, you really don't need that much compute power, correct? So you can scale your compute power back down. So again, EC2 is just a computer in the cloud. It can be Linux, Ubuntu, Windows, whatever OS you like, and you can just deploy your resources or your use case on that EC2 instance. Now AWS does provide us with a variety of different instance types for different use cases. We're just going to have a quick overview related to what it is, but we will be diving into depth what these are. You have one that is called compute optimized, then you have memory optimized, and you also have GPU optimized. And the GPU optimized is something that is being used quite a lot nowadays because companies and organizations and individuals are diving into AI ML. Another really good feature about EC2 is auto scaling. So you can automatically scale your EC2 instances. We did speak about that previously. You can do it manually, but AWS also provides you a way to auto scale your EC2 instances. Then we have a concept that is called ELB, which stands for Elastic Load Balancing. So you may have a use case wherein you are deploying a web server to your EC2 instances. Now maybe you deployed 10 EC2 instances, correct? And you want the traffic to be distributed across those 10 EC2 instances. So you would install a load balancer on top of your EC2 instance so that you are able to distribute the traffic across those multiple instances. Now, I'm just giving you a very slight overview related to elastic load balancing, just to throw it out there that what all can be done with an EC2. We will be diving into depth, so if you guys really don't understand what elastic load balancing is, not a worry at all. But in simple terms, it is a thing, or it is a service that sits on top of all of your EC2 instances, and it will distribute the traffic for you to those EC2 instances. Then we have another thing in Amazon EC2, which is called Elastic IP, which relates to static IP addresses. So if you have worked in IT or any other cloud providers out there, you know that we have dynamic IPs and static IPs. So if you have any use case out there wherein you need a static IP, you would request for the Elastic IP, which is the service provided by AWS for a static IP, and you can assign it to your EC2 instances. Now we spoke about EC2 instances when you have CPUs, you have memory and all of that good stuff, but what about storage? Now, of course, you have in a laptop, you need storage, maybe SSD or HDD, whatever type of storage that you want, you need storage, right? So AWS provides a service that is called EBS, which stands for Elastic Block Store, which is your virtual storage drives in the cloud. So you can think of it as a virtual hard drive in the cloud that you can attach to your EC2 instance. So you can see that EC2 instance is just a computer in the cloud. You have CPU, you have memory, you have GPUs, you have storage devices, you have networking and everything. So it just, in simple terms, it's a computer in the cloud. Moving on, we'll take a couple of use cases now into EC2. So you know that EC2 is a computer in the cloud, but what are a couple of use cases that you have for Amazon EC2? First being is you can host websites, you can host web applications, you can host databases, and you can run big data analytic jobs. So we talked about a couple of use cases where you have web servers. So that's where your websites and web applications come into place. Now you can also host databases. For example, you want to host a SQL database, right? You can host a database on an EC2 instance. And if you have any use case where you have some business logic where you want to run some analytics, you have something related to big data, for example, you can run those big data workloads on an EC2 instance. So these are a couple of use cases that we have for EC2 instances out there. Now let's talk about how can you access EC2. We spoke about what EC2 is, what are the different, use cases of EC2, but how can you access EC2? There are a lot of ways to access EC2, and the most simple and straightforward is through the AWS console. What is the AWS console? It's the management console we talk about. It's the UI interface that AWS provides where you can just log into the website and you can go to the EC2 section and be like, hey, I need an EC2 instance. I need a virtual machine in the cloud. We will be taking a look into a demo on how you can basically set up an EC2 instance using the console in our next demo. You can also access an EC2 through CLI. Again, whatever you can do through the console, you can also do through the CLI. If you are someone who wants to create a template, then you can use CloudFormation. We spoke a little bit about CloudFormation, that it's a template that you can create to deploy your resource. It's a repeatable template, so you can deploy your EC2 again, and again. You also have AWS SDKs that can be used. You have a tool that is called AWS Tools for PowerShell. This is a development tool created by AWS dedicated for PowerShell. And we have another thing that is called Query API, which can also be used to access an EC2 instance. Now we spoke a lot about EC2 instance. Let's dive a bit more into detail about EC2 and follow this. In our next video, we will go into a demo. So an EC2 instance you can think is made up of all of these points over here. So the first point is we have something that is called AMI, which stands for Amazon Machine Images. Now you do know that an EC2 is a computer. It has memory, it has CPU, it has storage, it has an operating system. Now the operating system part is what relates to an AMI, which is Amazon Machine Images. AWS has created a lot of images which contain OS and other softwares combined in together with it, which you can deploy on your EC2 instance. So you can think of it as simple as how you install Windows on your personal laptop, right? You purchase the laptop. Let's take you want to install Windows through your pen drive. You install your pen drive and you're like, hey, this is my Windows image, or this is my Linux image, and install it into your physical laptop. It's the same thing that is provided by AWS. So AMIs are basically images of operating systems and sometimes additional softwares that come with the operating system ready to go for your use. So you can be like, okay, I need a Linux operating system. AWS has a list of images that you can just pick up and install directly on to your virtual machine. Or you're like, no, I want Ubuntu. You have Ubuntu. You want, in fact, Windows. AWS also provides Windows. And another really cool thing is that if you want Mac OS, AWS also does support Mac OS. So you can deploy a Mac OS operating system onto your image. So whenever you get any question in the exam or anything related to operating systems and additional softwares, you should always think about AMIs, that is Amazon Machine Images. Second coming is your compute power. We spoke that, again, it's a computer, so you do need compute power. So an EC2 consists of memory and vCPUs, which is virtual CPUs. That is the one that this is what powers or gives your compute power to your EC2 instance. You also have storage. We spoke about how you can install hard drives, that is HDDs or SSDs, to your EC2 instance through Amazon EBS. That's a service that is used. You also have key pairs. So these key pairs are used to connect to your instance through SSH or other means. The reason why I did point this out over here is because it is really important. Now, you created your EC2 instance, correct? Maybe it's Ubuntu, Windows, Linux, or whatsoever, but you need to really be able to connect to your EC2 instance. So we have key pairs. These are encryption key pairs that are used to connect to your EC2 instance through SSH. And finally, we have security groups, which we are going to dive into in depth. And this is very important. You can think of security groups as a virtual firewall for your EC2 instance. It allows you to specify protocols, ports, and source IP ranges that can reach your instance, and also destination IP ranges which your instance can connect to. So you can think of security groups as a firewall in the cloud. It maintains an allow and deny list. For example, you can deny certain ports, access to certain ports on your EC2, and you can allow certain ports on your EC2 instance. Now, we're just going to have a very small demo in this, a very small overview related to security groups over here, but we have a complete video regarding security groups where we will be diving. And do remember, security groups is another very important concept when it comes to EC2, not only from the certification standpoint, but also from an implementation standpoint and a carrier standpoint. So this was a quick, pretty lengthy overview related to Amazon EC2. We only touched the top level overview related to EC2. So again, in simple terms, it's just a computer in the cloud with all the functionalities that you have available to you. So I hope you guys did like this video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like. Do subscribe and do comment if there are any other topics out there that you guys would like me to cover. I hope you guys have a great day ahead. See ya. Take care. Bye-bye.